All over again in a minute.
Oh, we see bison, you see break it like that.
Oh. That was a real charge.
Getting to grips with animals is one passion in the life of John Aspinall. The other is the gambling that made that passion possible. When Prelone romped home a winner in 1956, John Aspinall collected his winnings and took another gamble. He bought Howlett's as a home for his family, and for the extension of that family, the wild animals for which he's had a deep love and concern since he was a boy in India. The spin of that particular wheel is paying off. The house is restored. The family has extended even further to embrace many of the rarest animals in the world. And our good fortune is that he shares this private world with us, given that we're prepared to pay for the privilege of seeing animals through his eyes. His is a unique and exciting vision indeed.
Come on, then. Come on, then. Come on, then. What have we got here? These black and white rough lemurs haven't got that strong teeth, so if you feed them a Kent Cobb nut, you have to break it. They probably could gnaw their way through it. But these animals are fairly rare. We've got 3 breeding groups here at Howlett's, and this year we bred 4 babies from 2 different groups. Luckily, 2 boys and 2 girls. They're quite popular with the public because they're black and white, like pandas, colobus monkeys, anything that's black and white, the public seem to like for some reason or other. But these are purebred, and a number that are in zoos are crossbred, so they have a special value. They're doing reasonably well in zoos today, very badly in their homeland, Madagascar, where they really are extremely threatened. Every housewife knows what they are, of course. They see them every day of their lives. Dates. Fresh dates, though. This is a mangosteen from Indonesia. I've opened it up for them. They like that soft fruit in the center. Our policy is to give them a wide variety, because in nature they would probably feed on 150 or 200 different types of food.
Every Monday he makes this round of his friends, for that's what he believes they should be, both to him and to us.
This is a very rare type of langur. I think he's the only one in captivity of his species. We're trying to get some more from Sumatra. He's a silvery color, known as the banded langur. It's hard to see why.
Breakfast with Aspinall also starts the week for some noisy Duke langurs.
That's the food noise. That's yum yum in Duke langur tongue. These are very rare langurs. Very few zoos keep them, and even fewer breed them. And those that breed them, the numbers diminish. We had to think twice before we got this pair. They come from Vietnam. So you can imagine what what chance they have ever had in Vietnam. The poor little Dukes had a hard time. Exceptionally handsome monkey. This is a little female, but the male is twice her size. He's a handsome fellow. Langurs are all canopy living animals. They live in the canopy of tropical forests. And most langurs, nearly all, are from Southeast Asia. This is not really their classical food. They're leaf-eating monkeys, and their main diet is really leaves and beans. They've got to eat fruits in the forest, canopy fruits. but to a lesser extent than a lot of primates. Once again, with these sort of monkeys, which spend 8 hours a day feeding, they don't gobble down food. They forage, that'll all be gone in an hour or two.
One of Henry VIII's admirals once owned howlets in the 15th century, when many of Aspinall's friends were unknown to European eyes. Then they were safe in distant wild forests. We had yet to become their enemy. No creature has been more misunderstood and misrepresented than our nearest relative, the gorilla. It's well known that human contact with them in the wild is possible, but it has to be on their terms. As part of the howlet's family of animals, that natural relationship has been developed beyond what would once have been believed possible.
Coming in with the gorillas, like this is a tradition of howlets. It originated 28 years ago when I collected some orphans and formed a gorilla band. And Nkijo here was born here 12 and a half years ago. And I've been playing with them all for all this time. And so I've just grown up with it. Out of the 34 gorillas in the colony, we can go in with 33. So only one has proved too rough and a bit unpredictable in terms of human play. The keepers here have got the same relationships that I have with them, really. They've all got, the keepers have their preferences and the gorillas have their preferences. It's like human relationships. They prefer some prefer them, some prefer me, I prefer others. And it's a very organic thing, it's just grown. That's good, okay. Peter and Ian just enjoy it. I mean, once it becomes not enjoyable, we wouldn't come. It's good fun, and it's a great excitement, and that's the main reason why we do it. Like everything else in life, one does what one enjoys doing. There's no sense of duty or anything brings me in here. Plain pursuit of pursuit of pleasure. I think it's a very emotionally restoring thing. We feel a bit better when we come out. Very deep relationships do evolve with gorillas, just as profound as those between humans. It's part of the excitement and it's the tradition here. It's the only zoo in the world that does this, by the way. Don't think that any other zoos go in for this, because they don't, but it evolved originally from my belief that they would remain reliable when adult. Nobody ever believed that 25 years ago, and it's only believed now, I think, because of what we do here. The object of howlets is really not just to breed gorillas per se. We've had 28 births and 25 have been successful. The object really is to try and form breeding groups, families, 3 or 4 of them, and then maybe 4 or 5 later on, in 5 or 6 years, when we build a gorilla enclosure in Port Lim, and return them to the wild, maybe in 8 to 10 years' time. That is return a whole family. The only possible way to do it would be to get a group that is integrated with a dominant male, 5 or 6 wives, 6 or 7 children, with the keepers attached to them, and then perhaps that whole group could be pioneers and return to some relatively safe wild place. Now, there's no other zoo that has that sort of thing in their sights at all. You probably think I'm mad to even think of it.
Aspinall's kind of madness, which he prefers to call at times his flair, not only filled howlets with wild animals, but led him to acquire and restore this elegant mansion and ornamental park at Port Lim. Much of its pre-war glory is reflowering. But again, the original owner, Sir Philip Sassoon, might have been startled by Aspinall's immediate vision of the 300 acres beyond the terraced gardens as a kind of Kenya in Kent, and Africa, or Mongolia, or America, with a view over the Channel to France. Naturally, the animals of India have their own share of this cosmopolitan piece of England. Water buffalo, axis deer, and barasingha roamed the forests and plains where Aspinall was a boy, and perhaps his eyes began to see them then, much as they feature in the mythical stories of Kipling, where the animals really are the friends of man. The fortunate and patient visitor to Port Lim can glimpse the secret lives of the barasingha. The stag tests his hinds to see if they're ready to mate. Aspinall takes pride in the fact that very many of his honoured guests, as he calls his animals, do breed here. During this period of the autumn rut, the stags can often be seen in the early mornings digging in the mud with their antlers. Just how important this throwing of mud onto their backs is, no one really knows. Those fighting for the privilege of mating have coats matted with dried mud. Among this herd of 28 barasingha, the competition to mate is keen. The acquisition of Port Lim has lengthened the Monday trek, but it's all part of enjoying this extraordinary estate, which he sometimes refers to as the fruits of his days as an Oxford undergraduate, where he often skipped tutorials to play a profitable game of poker.
I guess I was a gambler first, and still am a gambler. I mean, part of my nature. And it hadn't been for the gambling and whatever success I've had there, I could never have really bought howlets or acquired any of the animals in the first place. So this all really stems from the gift for gambling.
All the Aspinall clan, as he calls his family, share his passion for animals. His eldest son, Damien, often joins him in his weekly round.
The main role of the Aspinall clan is the protection of beasts and nature. So they know their role. I mean, they have to earn money as well to be able to do these things. So I think that might be able to project my philosophy of protection of nature and breeding of rare species into the future. I don't know that any of my children will be gamblers, probably be competent gamblers, but maybe not with my flair. But on the other hand, they have their own flair, or will have it, we hope, in other things, and I'm very much relying on them. My whole life has really been an exercise in selfishness, because I've never done much that I don't like doing. I've avoided even as a child, I was very naughty at school and so on. And at Oxford, I did what I liked to do. And that's part of my nature, is to be selfish. Luckily, perhaps, my selfish requirements ensnare a lot of quite useful things, which I think is the way to do good, is not to set out to do it. I'm the opposite of a do-gooder. I'm a do-badder. But in what I do, people, animals, friends, employees can earn a benefit, which they might not get elsewhere. And that's my particular version of how a person performs to the best for his own species and for other species and for his family and so on.
Horses of Europe became extinct last century. But in 1878, in Mongolia, Colonel Przewalski, a Russian explorer, saw wild horses like these. But now they're to be found in a select few of the world's zoos, Port Lim among them.
This is one of our smaller herds of wild horses. Przewalski's wild horse, the Mongolian wild horse, now extinct in the wild. The last one were killed about 20 years ago in the Altai steppes of Mongolia. Here we've got a colony altogether of 50, and I think it's the second largest in the world. There's one bigger one in Russia, a place called Aspinall Nova in the Ukraine, 200 miles from Kiev. And we are prepared to supply the Russians now with 5 or 6 foals a year for rehabilitation. All domestic horses are one species, Equus caballus. Equus Przewalski is different. He's got an upright mane, a line down his back, usually white on the nose and beneath the eyes. Not always, but usually. Quite a wide color variation. And many of them have zebra-like stripes, the lower part of the leg. So they're the world's only genuine wild horses.
The health of all the animals at Howlett's and Port Lim is watched over very closely.
Now, we're only going to knock out a small horse this morning.
About once a year, a Przewalski's horse will need a hoof trim. It's rather like cutting your nails. But these sensitive animals are not easy to approach and handle. The vet must prepare to drug the horse using a special dart syringe. A skilled shot will deliver the drug into the muscles of the hind quarter. It's routine practice, needs to be carried out with care.
Right, I think, Chris, if we walk up a bit,
Okay.
cool them down as they've seen there's a bit of chicanery.
All right. Come on.
That's her there that you done last time.
That was last
Yeah.
week, was it?
This little one here we could possibly take.
Right.
She could be
This character here.
Yeah, she can be 51.
Okay. Let's see if we can get her separated off a bit, shall we?
Steady, steady.
The herd's initial surprise will soon calm down. The darted mare is aware of the injection, but the drug will quickly take effect. But as soon as she's immobilized on the ground, the team have a limited time to trim the hooves.
Steady, Topo.
Jim, I'll go and put this pistol down, then I'll come back and give you a hand, shall I?
Yep.
The reason why we have to do this is because, unlike the conditions that they would meet in the wild, the level of nutrition here is much higher than they would experience in their own environment. So hooves tend to grow a lot faster. Of course, they don't get the wear on the stony or rocky surfaces they might do in the wild.
Careful.
So those two factors.
Good girl, good girl.
Those two factors combined means that we have to take care of the hooves in this manner at least once a year. In fact, it's a common problem with all wild equids in captivity is because the hooves grow so fast.
Here you go.
Okay.
There you go.
I'll be okay.
One day, the rhinoceros could be as rare as the wild horses, the victim of the unmagical horn on its nose. In the wild, through ignorance and superstition, it's become the price on its head.
Yeah. There's a good girl, yes. They're chocolate-eating rhinos, a very rare breed. They have a weekly treat. In fact, we get through about 35 bars a week of chocolate. The elephants and rhinos. This, of course, is the black rhinoceros, the ones that is in real danger in Africa today. In 1970, experts reckon there were 65,000 in Africa. Now they reckon 3.5. So in the last 15 years, the numbers are declining dramatically. At least here, we've doubled their numbers from 3 to 6. These two mothers have both had calves, which are in the paddock over there. Doesn't sound very significant, but if we can continue that trend, we'll have a good number of these in 10 or 15 years, maybe 18 or 20.
Aspinall hopes to increase the numbers of African hunting dogs as well.
This is an amazing animal, the African hunting dog. For years, for 2 centuries, he was persecuted relentlessly by everybody, including game wardens. Recent studies have told us that the wild dog is absolutely essential in the general picture of African hoof stock, in that he disperses the genes. He relentlessly runs down herds, groups, and frightens them to such a degree they all disperse, and so genes get disseminated. Because herd animals tend to inbreed if unmolested. It's got enormous stamina. They can hunt an animal for 10 or 15 miles if necessary.
From Africa, a short walk puts a visitor in India, among the giants of that subcontinent. And here, Aspinall is gambling again. This is a bull elephant, potentially dangerous. But he believes that knowing how to support a breeding herd is vital as they become rarer in the wild.
Ugly. Motki. Come on in. Come on. Notice the way she's coming down the slope. Come on in. This is a group of Indian elephants. 1 bull here, Bindu, and 4 cows. One of whom, Rani over there, is pregnant, due to have a calf in March, and possibly Motki is pregnant as well. We've had a calf here before from Pugli, the smallest of these cows, but unfortunately, being an inexperienced mother, she kicked the little thing to death out of fright. Come on. In a large paddock like this, you see signs of herd behavior. Like when they were all concentrating in a group there, talking to each other, drumming through this part of the head where they have a method of vibrating there, and they talk to each other that way. It seems to be a sort of solidarity thing. If you tickle them under the chin, they sometimes do it. Come on then. Oh, you're too easy. Or if they see you and they haven't seen you for a long time, they seem to be pleased, and then they make that strange vibrating noise. Hold on. This bull, Bindu, is what the Indians call a muckner, a tuskless bull, but he's got a couple of pegs. It doesn't seem to give them any disadvantage.
Even without tusks, this elephant did kill one of its keepers. But there's always a risk to be run by people who work and play with wild animals, though perhaps no greater than the dangers of everyday living elsewhere.
There's a vast forest in Togamba, which is in northern Sumatra, which is scheduled for clean felling. Not for lumber, but for palm oil plantations. 300,000 acres, which is isolated in the sense that it's miles from any other forest. All the mammals and birds, except those that can fly to other forests, in the case of a few elephants, might be able to make the trek to other forested areas. All the other mammals really are doomed. And we're on a rescue mission there in this forest to save some of these Sumatran rhinos, which is the rarest rhino in the world, other than the Javan rhino, which is even rarer. He was the first one over that we caught, and we named him Togamba. It's after his homeland. There's another female in camp there now we've caught. It's coming over in May. It's called Maranti. She's beautiful. And of course, if they can ever breed here, it will be the first ever born in the Western world. So this is an animal of extreme rarity, extreme excitement and interest. Wonderful, legendary figure. The only living relative of the famous extinct woolly rhino. Still got some of his wool on him. Wonderful temperament they seem to have. They're great athletes and very, very wise animals.
An animal that for centuries we've been taught to fear, but which, as far as we know, has never attacked a human being unless cornered or provoked, is the Canadian timber wolf. These woodlands at Port Lim have been tailored to match the kind of forest these pack hunters are at home in the wild. Once, wolves roamed our own wild woods, but the last was destroyed in Scotland 250 years ago. A poor end for an animal that's thoroughly reliable and of excellent character. But legend and travellers' tales die hard, and only the evidence of our own eyes can convince us that in the wild, wolves and the big cats are not always the bloodthirsty villains that we readily believe them to be. They can be more of a beauty than a beast.
Oh, what have you found there, eh? Yes, it's amazing as they get older. They seem to understand that we can't really take the very heaviest play. And that applies to most so-called dangerous animals, that they understand human frailty and act accordingly with incredible restraint. 1 in 12 tigers prove to be unreliable in terms of human interaction. Morning. Everybody gambles with their lives, don't they, all the time. It's not really as risky as it seems. The accidents we've had here, only one of them was from being in with an animal. The 2 disasters we had with the tiger was where a tiger actually scrambled over a fence which we thought it couldn't get over, not from going in with the animals. So the risks attached to that are not really very great. Most zoos just get rid of tigers when they become old, like him. But at Howletts and Port Lim, I think we have the oldest tigers in the world. In the Guinness Book of Records, the oldest tiger is 26 years old. But we think we'll beat that. Oh, you lovely boy. Very affectionate animal. He loves to be stroked and cosseted and petted, and he really likes us. And this is big for him. He's an old pal, aren't you? And a very big, and that's, he's got my hand smelling of meat. I've just chucked him a thing, so all this smells of nice raw meat. That's why I gave it a sniff. He might urinate on me now. That's a good sign, by the way. It's marking me as his friend. But he didn't. Whew, you can see what I mean. Holding them up when they weigh 450 pounds is not easy. Jamla's a 3.5-year-old male, really in his prime, just coming up to his prime. Very good boy. And he's got an obsession, though, about licking my corduroy coat. And I don't know why he finds it so attractive. It's possible that the papillae on his skin, tigers have these papillae, find a grasp on the cord here, the ridged corduroy, and he loves doing this. I think he'd do it for about an hour if he had the chance. It merely means, though, if I want to stay in with him for more than about 5 minutes, I get bored, so I then throw the coat out, and he acts normally. So even tigers have their little obsessions. You silly boy, aren't you? What a silly thing. Yes. A lot safer. Yes. Yes, you lovely boy. Yeah. Sure. Sheer weight is the factor that... Lovely boy, aren't you? I think I'll give you this now. Okay. I'm going to hand this over to Nick now. Nick has to try and squeeze it away. But you're going to like it. It's gone. And there's not much.
At grips with the tiger, Aspinall spectacularly combines the gambler and the passionate lover of animals. If that spectacle makes money to keep the animals in the best possible way, that's what he's about. This elephant's natural playfulness, with an element of mischief, could be said to reflect the attitude of the man who gave it a home.
Go on, then. Go on.
But these are African elephants, and they're not here just for the fun.
The original input of elephants here all came from calves that were saved from culling exercises. When they culled, massacred whole herds in Zimbabwe and South Africa, these are the little calves, all of them, everyone here except the ones born here, was saved from culling. And so at least this lot might grow up and breed and form a proper herd to replace some of the hideous culling of elephants that goes on in Africa. She likes to mess around in the water too. This is a lovely little, this is Saab, the famous Sabi. First one ever born in the United Kingdom. And that's in spite of the fact that hundreds of elephants have lived in the United Kingdom and died here without breeding. Hundreds. So we feel quite proud of this. There's only actually 3 in the whole of Europe which are domestically born of African elephants, and 2 are here that are alive today. She looks pretty well to me too, Gabi. That's the mother Masa with her daughter on either side, little Twana here, look, who's resting on her cousin Shibi. Full sisters there, the mother in the middle. Nice little family group. 4 girls.
Go on then.
This is,
Oh, Sorby. Sorby.
Tug of war with an elephant's no good.
Massa, massa. Massa.
Yeah, you naughty one.
No, the elephant's too strong. There it goes.
That's a regular occurrence.
At least I fixed it properly this time.
Sabi is the hose thief. She likes to steal the hose. More dangerous than a tiger keeper is a keeper of an elephant bull, because they have these seasons when they go on must, that is, they come into rut, and they are very unpredictable and aggressive. And they still have to be looked after, taken care of, put in at night, and so on. So it's a very risky business. This is why so few have ever bred in captivity, because people are frightened of keeping bulls.
Go on, Massa.
Somewhere in his wry expression, John Aspinall is challenging our instincts. He knows that we enjoy the frisson of being afraid. Then he thrills us by dispelling our fear and giving us a new vision of the animals he's passionate to protect. And he'll gamble that you'll buy an ice cream as well as his message.